Jaguars among the teams working today, and as usual, all eyes are on number 2 overall draft pick, Travis Hunter. Here's Hunter on how he's enjoying minicamp.
It's been very easy for me. You know, the guys come in and I bring the juice every day. Always got a smile on my face, making everyone laugh when I get the chance. So we just been fun, having fun, and just being kids out here just loving and living our dream.
RC, Hunter can play wide receiver. He can play cornerback. Did them both at a high level in college. What's the best way, in your opinion, for the Jaguars to use him this year?
I don't know. I feel like I'm on the wrong side of this every time I say it, and maybe it's the defender in me, but I believe he should be a primary corner. I believe day one when this season starts, he should be opposite Tyson Campbell, locking somebody down on the defensive side of the ball. And yes, there should be a package for him on offense where they can utilize him at the wide receiver position. But when you're talking about natural ball skills, he immediately goes to the top tier of defenders the moment they kick the football off. The way he tracks it, the way he locates it, his natural feel for coverage. I think he has all-pro written all over him, and you add what he can do on the offensive side of the ball in the important moments in the game as you pair him with Brian Thomas Jr. I believe the sky's the limit for Travis Hunter, but if you want to get immediate impact out of this young player, you let him play defense and you let him go lock folks up.
With Aaron Rodgers settling in with his new team in Pittsburgh, we're going to hear from offensive coordinator Arthur Smith on his plans for Rodgers and the Steelers' offense. Then you will hear from number 2 overall pick and two-way star Travis Hunter. And Ryan Clark is going to let us know which side of the ball he thinks Hunter can have the most success on this season. Plus, you'll hear from Micah Parsons with the very latest on his contract negotiations with the Cowboys. Lots to get to on NFL Live. I'm Dan Graziano, thrilled to be joined by these fine gentlemen, Ryan Clark, Booger McFarland, and Louis Riddick, to talk about some minicamp action. We're going to start with the New York Jets, who are working today, preparing for the season with Justin Fields as their quarterback. Fields spoke to the media today in Florham Park. Here's some of what he had to say.
It's been good for sure. Kind of had a feeling when I got here, guys were looking for, a leader to step up on offense. So, I was glad to, receive that role, and of course, been, pushing the guys each and every day to be our best and play up to our standard. Reese is a ball player for sure. Of course, everybody knows he can run, but what kind of surprised me is his natural hands when I first, started throwing with him. I mean, he has natural hands, kind of like a receiver, and he's really just all around back. So, definitely glad to have him on my team for sure.
Fields talking about running back Breece Hall, one of a lot of options he'll have in the passing game with the Jets. Louis, what are your expectations for Fields in this Jets offense this year?
They got to own the line of scrimmage, Dan. I mean, that's what this offense has got to be. Look, when you have an offensive line that's got 3 former first-round picks on it, okay? And then a number 2 pick at center, a second-round pick, and Joe Tippmann at center. And they got Fashanu, and they got Armand Membu, Elijah Vera Tucker, John Simpson. I mean, they got studs up front. This football team has got to be better than like 31st in run block win rate, 31st in rush yards per game, like 24th in average yards per carry, before first contact. Especially when you got Breece Hall, Braylon Allen, and now you've got Justin Fields. That has got to be their identity. This has got to be one of the best rushing teams in the NFL. This has got to be a team that kind of mirrors sort of how Baltimore tries to attack you. We can gash you with Derek, we can gash you with Lamar, and then we can throw the football down the field, and that's on Justin and Garrett Wilson and the rest of the crew. But they have to make huge strides. Otherwise, I mean, all those first-round picks on the offensive line, those big physical backs that they got in the backfield, what the hell did you draft them for? Obviously, you made some huge mistakes if you can't do that and make tremendous strides and be a top-half rushing team this year. And if they don't, they're going nowhere.
Yeah, Lou, I completely agree with you on that. Everything has to stop and start with the run game. They got to be physical at the line of scrimmage. And that's going to allow, I think, Justin Fields to do what he does best, which is now you're going to shrink the field a little bit. You're going to make some voids in the secondary. The linebackers are going to have to come up. The safeties are going to drop back. And so you will be able to play action pass and throw the football down the field. And I think that will allow Justin Fields to be at his best. We all know he has struggled throwing the football in the drop back passing game. So what do? You're going to lean on the play action passing game and allow him to see the field clear. You're going to create more voids, but everything has got to stop and start, RC, with the run game. And if they can't do that, then it's really not going to matter what the quarterback can do from the pocket in his position.
100%. And, you bring over Tanner Engstrand from Detroit, and he was in a place where the run game, where you had Jahmyr Gibbs and you had David Montgomery. Now you move over to Hall and Allen, and there's a different element when you have a Justin Fields. And we saw that in Chicago. We saw that in Pittsburgh, being able to add his legs to the run game, the threat of the quarterback run. But I think the word that scares you most about the Jets is potential. Justin Fields has the potential to be. Breece Hall has the potential to be. They need to see these guys play to the top of their potential, and they have to see it early. If you're looking at who you want the Jets to be offensively, we know that they have Garrett Wilson. I believe Mason Taylor comes right in and makes an impact at the tight end position. But this is going to start with physicality in the run game and move to the play action game, which we saw taking deep shots early last year from the Pittsburgh Steelers. Justin Fields was extremely accurate and sometimes effective. He has to increase that this year if this team is to make any moves or any ascension when we're talking about the way that they play on the offensive side of the ball.
When they do throw it, of course, RC, you mentioned the number one receiver is Garrett Wilson, who was Justin Fields' teammate at Ohio State. Lewis, how big a deal do you think that is, reuniting the quarterback and the wide receiver that played together in college?
Dan, it's huge. It's everything. Look, I can just tell you firsthand, having talked to this team in the offseason, obviously, that this was a major point of emphasis, was how can they get Garrett Wilson to feel good about being a New York Jet and how they can get him back to his potential, because obviously things didn't end well in New York last year as far as his chemistry with Aaron Rodgers. And one of the quickest ways you can get that done, and I had talked to them about this, is, hey, look, how about reuniting him with this guy? How about getting Justin Fields in there and seeing if those two can kind of kind of recreate some of the magic that they had in college. I mean, that's just a natural connection. And Garrett, we know, look, Garrett is like a modern day Lynn Swann. That's what he is. This is a guy who plays above the rim like a ballerina. He's one of the most gifted wide receivers in the league. And so I think that connection right there, that's got to be priority number one in the passing game. And they've got to link up, man. They got to link up big time.
RC, it seems like you have something to say.
Hey, guys, I've never seen a ballerina play above the rim. I don't know if we're talking about like the John Wick ballerina. I don't know if we're calling SGA a ballerina. But Lewis, I just don't know.
Hey, man.
Misty Copeland, does she play above the rim?
Hey, you know what I'm doing? Hey, I'm just trying to give the man his props. You know what I mean? He's got body control. He's got leaps. He's got it all. You know what I mean? Hey, it's all good. It's all good.
I haven't seen the new the John Wick spinoff, so maybe there is something going on there with the ballerina playing above the rim. We'll have to check that out. Justin Fields, of course, taking over the Jets quarterback job from Aaron Rodgers, who as of this week is a Pittsburgh Steeler. Rodgers signed his contract with the Steelers earlier this week and has joined his team for minicamp. But how much of an upgrade is he really over what Pittsburgh had last year? You look at the combo of Justin Fields and Russell Wilson, they averaged a half yard more per attempt last year than Rodgers did with the Jets. They also posted a touchdown to interception ratio that was a full score better than Rodgers, who's the NFL's all-time leader in that stat. Rodgers, DK Metcalf, and offensive coordinator Arthur Smith all spoke today about what they hope the offense will look like.
If there's things that I like, that I'd like to see in the offense, Arthur, I'm sure, is going to put it in. But my job is to get us in the right play.
As your roster evolves, I mean, obviously we didn't bring Aaron in here and sign DK for all that money to go run the wishbone. So, you try to play to the strengths of your team.
How quickly he releases the ball and me getting off the line of scrimmage fast, I think is one thing that stands out first. But just how cerebral he is and how he views the game. I like the way he views the game, from a receiver standpoint, but also from a quarterback standpoint. I think I can gain a lot of knowledge just from being around him because he's seen a lot of football. So just trying to soak up as much information in the ball as I can.
Booger, what do you make of this fit, Arthur Smith and Aaron Rodgers in this offense?
Hey, first of all, we can throw that graphic away that we had up there, because if you think for one moment that Aaron Rodgers is not an upgrade over Russell Wilson and Justin Fields, then you got another thing coming. He's going to be a dramatic upgrade, guys. It's not even funny, just from the standpoint of confidence and continuity from an offensive standpoint of what you can do in the passing game. And I get it. I don't expect this team to go to the Super Bowl. He's a 41-year-old quarterback with limited athletic ability, but his ability to understand and throw the football down the field and hopefully unlock DK Metcalf. They didn't go out and spend $30 million a year on him just to hand the football off 45 times a game. Yeah, they're going to run the football. That's what Arthur Smith likes to do. But they also are going to push the football down the field. And in order to do that, you need a competent quarterback. And Aaron Rodgers gives them competency and confidence from an offensive side of the football. I don't care what that graphic said about QBR 51 to 48. I could care less. He is an upgrade over what they had last year.
Yeah. Look, he'll be better in 2025. He'll be better. He's healthier. You can see it in some of the video clips already booked from the mini camps. You see him moving around better.
Yeah.
All right, is he going to be Aaron Rodgers of 10 years ago? Of course not. No one's expecting that. But I think DK hit on a couple of things. One, his football knowledge. Two, how quickly he can play the game because he's seen it all. Three, how he can help other people play the game faster and more efficient, provided that they have enough time to get on the same page. Arthur is able to make the connection with him, that being Arthur Smith, the OC, make the connection with him that is sustainable all year long, and then this offensive line can get better and everything can stay, together. And that it's not a football team that's dealing with injuries, dealing with people in and out of the lineup. He is an upgrade. He will be better. You can see what the vision is. You can see what Mike Tomlin wants to build. And if you look at Arthur's history as far as a play caller and what he ideally likes to do, it fits where Aaron is at this point in his career. I said early on, they need each other. The team needs him. He needs this kind of team. Let's just see if it works now.
Well, we'll see where he is at this point in his career, though, is, he's a one-year fix. He's 41 years old. He signs a one-year deal. RC, you've talked about this, how the team still needs to address this for the long term. But are there any concerns about a team sort of galvanizing around a guy that they know is only there for a short period of time?
You ain't got to galvanize around Aaron Rodgers. You just need Aaron Rodgers to play good football. Aaron Rodgers doesn't have to come in and be the leader of this team. You have guys like Cam Hayward on that team. You have guys like T.J. Watt, Micah Fitzpatrick. Aaron Rodgers needs to give this offense confidence that they can be good in the passing game. And I believe he does that immediately. This isn't about what happens for the long-term future of the Pittsburgh Steelers. This isn't about how many people in that locker room, organization, and building fall in love with Aaron Rodgers. This is finding a way for the 2025 season to not have to be a rebuild and then figuring out who your quarterback of the future is. You heard what DK Metcalf said. He wants to learn a lot. He feels like the quick release helps. We see him moving around better. They want to make sure that they can go out and win 10 football games, make sure that they can compete to be in the playoffs, maybe make it to week 2 and then address the future at another point. Aaron Rodgers does not have to be the dude that has to give the pregame speech every game. What he needs to do is be the dude that keeps this offense moving, and I believe he can do that.
Jets and Steelers will meet in week 1. It'll be the first season opener in the history of the NFL between starting quarterbacks who started for the opposite teams the year before. So is it an Aaron Rodgers revenge game? Is it a Justin Fields revenge game? Will additions to their practice jerseys. Here's Coach Jim Harbaugh on the changes.
I like a resume, it kind of reminds me like a general, has different patches. So any playoff appearance, if they're captain, it's on there. If they have any NFL record or Charger record or, the important awards like Man of the Year, All-Pro, and the Block of Granite Award. Someday they'll be able to, put that jersey up in a frame, put it on the wall, say something really good about themselves. It'd be what they accomplished.
I like it. Lewis, when you were playing, what patches would they have put on your jersey there? What do you think?
Maybe, a playoff appearance or two. But, none of them all-pro ones or Ed Block Courage Awards or all-pro patches. I would have been looking at a bunch of other dudes who had some of those. But you know what? Quite honestly, I think that's kind of cool, man. Because look, there's some guys who've done some great things in the league, and there's going to be some guys who are going to have some jerseys that are filled up with a huge resume.
Yep.
That's a really cool deal. My thing is this: if we're going to go this far, then since it's my jersey, can I sell the advertising space and try to get me a couple deals? Like, that's where I would take this thing to the next. Let's not just stop right here with All Pro. Let's try to monetize this thing a little bit, man.
Hey, bro, spoken like a true first rounder, bro. Y'all always trying to get more money. What about the fact that you could just look at this jersey and knowing when you're going out to practice, maybe it's a day you don't want to be there, you could remind yourself who you are. And not only that, think about these young guys that walk into these buildings and maybe they don't have the knowledge. Now they understand the type of work some of these vets have already put in and the pile that they're trying to put their hand in. So I think it's super cool. I mean, if your jersey empty, it might not be that cool for you, but for the dudes who actually balling, I love this idea.
I wonder if they'd let Booger put like the different country club logos on his jersey like he does, you know, when he wears the show. Yeah, be load up with those. Places I've played that you might want to play as well. A lot of gold bolts on those Chargers jersey. They all made the playoffs last year. They went 11-6. New on NFL Live, we get our first look at Texans running back Nick Chubb in action. He spoke earlier today on his progress.
I would say that's all behind me, and you know, injuries happen, and with what I did, it takes about 2 years to really get back, and so I'm over the hump. I'm back home. I was back home all off-season training, where I trained, you know, every year since I was in high school, and I was able to get a full year in of doing the things that I do best, and so now I'm feeling good as I have been in a long time.
Let's stay right there in Houston as we read and react. C.J. Stroud was held out of Houston's OTA practices with shoulder soreness, but he threw yesterday at minicamp, and he talked about it afterwards.
Yeah, I felt great, man. I'm very grateful to be back out on the field. I'm a little rusty, made some throws, missed some throws, but I'm just very grateful to be out there with the guys. And you know, I was already throwing, you know, before you guys see me out there pretty normally. I think y'all don't have much to talk about, so y'all just – everything is blown up in all season, so I'm fine, man. I'm really okay.
Boog, that is good news, but any concerns for C.J. Stroud this year? They did a lot of changing things on the offensive line in the offseason. What do you make of all of it?
Well, yeah, I like C.J. Stroud. I'm not concerned about the shoulder. His head coach is not concerned, so neither am I. The biggest concern is how's he going to pick up his play? Year one, really good. Year two, not so much. How's he going to be going into year three? The offensive line is going to be key. They were porous. I don't know if they really got any better on the offensive line. You trade away Laramie Tunsil. Cam Robinson is not going to be the left tackle. They're going to have to figure out a way to protect him because the number one thing, he's going to want a huge payday after year three. I need to see a little progress, more like the C.J. Stroud from year one than C.J. Stroud in year two. But as long as he's healthy, you got to think he's going to be able to play really good football for the Texans.
Made it to the second round of the playoffs each of his first two seasons, hoping to build on that. To Cincinnati now, where the Bengals are dealing with two contract issues, including that of their first-round pick, Shamar Stewart. He talked about the situation yesterday.
We all agree Trey will be right? But technically he's still 1% wrong for being under contract. So in my case, I'm 100% right, so it should be a no-brainer.
Lewis, look, Stewart is there. He's not doing any kind of drills, but we heard his side of things in terms of the contract dispute. It's very weird for a first-round pick to be in this situation. What does it look like from the team's perspective?
Look, Cincinnati's not doing themselves any favors, Dan. I mean, look, the way in which they are handling the two sides of the football, that being, you know, the way in which they handled the offense to make sure that, you know, Joe had all of his toys that he needed to continue to put up some big-time eye-popping numbers and play at a high level. You know, you got to commend Cincinnati for doing that, the way in which they handled that. The way they're handling the defensive side of the football, which is just continuously allowing good players to leave, having guys like Trey Hendrickson, who's one of their best pickups in the history of the organization, quite honestly, with the way in which he's produced, have to sit there and kind of like basically beg through the media to be paid, you know, according to his production. It's just ridiculous. It's not helping their reputation at all. And now Shamar Stewart, the number 17 overall pick, they can't get him into camp or get him signed rather because of some contract language about some void guarantees. I mean, come on now. They're kind of like shooting themselves in the foot. They're taking 2 steps forward, 2 steps back, and not going anywhere. It's just a bad look overall.
And it was the defense, of course, that did in the Bengals last year after a historic performance by Joe Burrow, Jamar Chase, and the offense. To Carolina now, where Bryce Young and Panthers offense look to build on the success they had late last season. Here's Panthers head coach Dave Canales on his QB1.
He just has a defiance to him, and that's just kind of his way of competing. You know, he's not super animated with it, but he definitely thrives off of that, feeds off of that energy, you know, and he takes his, you know, chances when he can because JC's trying to bait him into throwing the ball over there, you know, so, and he's doing a great job with it. So, and it does bring a level of confidence to the guys to know, like, hey, we're dangerous when we're out here, you know, and so I can feel that happening.
RC, they finished the season hot on offense. What are your expectations for Bryce Young and the Panthers this year?
I expect them to take that next step, and I think Dave Canales feels the exact same way. You go out and you draft Ted McMillan from the University of Arizona early, gives you that big 50-50 catch guy who can win on one-on-ones. Xavier Legette needs to take that next step. But the big thing is you saw Bryce Young face adversity, come through that adversity on the other side as a more mature man and a better quarterback. Games at the end of the season against the Chiefs, the Buccaneers, the Falcons, he showed you exactly who he was when he was drafted #1 overall.
7 touchdowns and no interceptions over his last 3. Time now for some stories making headlines around the league, starting with a couple of guys who chose not to show up to mandatory minicamp. TJ Watt absent from Steelers minicamp as he seeks a new deal with 1 year left on his current contract. All-pro edge rusher scheduled to make about $21 million this year, and the top of the edge rusher market has gone all the way up to $40 million a year with Myles Garrett. So obviously TJ looking for more. Trey Hendrickson, who led the league in sacks last year and has 1 year and $16 million left on his contract, also staying away from Bengals minicamp. He's frustrated with the lack of progress on his contract talks. A reminder that missing mandatory minicamp subjects a player to more than $100,000 worth of fines. And Anthony Richardson is not participating in Colts minicamp, but it's not because he doesn't want to. He has an issue with his surgically repaired right shoulder, some soreness in that shoulder. Richardson was out of town Tuesday, get a second opinion on the shoulder, but has been told that rest, not surgery, is the best course of action at this point. Booger, this is bad timing for Anthony Richardson, who is already in a quarterback competition with the veteran Daniel Jones this offseason. Is there any concern that he's kind of blowing his last chance with by not being out there right now, that maybe we've seen the last of Anthony Richardson in Indy?
Yeah, I don't know if we've seen the last of him, but I tell you what, it is very concerning because ever since he's been there, the health has been a concern. You can't get him on the field to get him better because he's not healthy. You can't get him on the field to get him better because now you're always trying to use his athleticism and run the football. He has got to be healthy. He's going to be in a true quarterback battle with Daniel Jones there, and he needs to be healthy to win that. More importantly, I think he needs to take that next step because you see a lot of quarterbacks, by the time they get to this point in their career, you know whether or not he can be a franchise quarterback. I think everybody in Indianapolis would love for him to come in, win this quarterback battle, and take off. But he's got to be healthy, and he's got to be ready to go once he gets to training camp.
Health's been an issue for Richardson since college. He started a total of 28 games over his last 5 seasons between college and the NFL, just an average of 5.5 starts per season. So he's got to be on the field. Tennessee Titans and #1 overall pick Cam Ward on their second day of mandatory minicamp. Head coach Brian Callahan is already impressed with Ward's ability to multitask.
It was pretty remarkable to see all the things going on and how much he's talking, but like his brain is still like with me, I guess is the best way to put it. Like when I'm calling a play, he's doing all he's doing, but he's listening to everything I'm telling him. And he enters right into the huddle and he calls a play and doesn't script the play call. And I thought that was actually kind of remarkable. I don't know, I couldn't do that. So that's just kind of who he is. That's his personality. And again, if it was something that I felt like was detrimental to his ability to manage the offense and call it in a huddle and all that, I'd probably have a couple things to say to him. But he didn't miss a beat when it came to calling the play and being on top of it and then executing when it came time to execute. So it was new experience for me, but it was fun.
Lewis, Brian Callahan sounds a little bit excited about his #1 overall pick. What'd you make of those comments?
Look, Cam Ward is built the way you want him to be built. He just is, man. He's a true alpha. And that's what everyone at Miami and at Washington State will tell you. This is not a surprise. The guy is built to be the face of a franchise. He's got a ton of mental horsepower where the coach is giving him instructions. He's a rookie now. He's a rookie. He's giving him instructions about a whole new offense, everything that he has to do pre-snap, post-snap, all the responsibility that he has, while at the same time, I heard Jeffrey Simmons talking about the fact that the defense is chirping at him. He's chirping back at him, while at the same time listening to what Brian Callahan is telling him, and then going out there and executing and throwing the football, at the level that he can throw it at, which is commensurate with being the number 1 overall pick in the draft.